My bad that we're not watching a Marvel movie, sadly. We're going to be learning about history. Hello, historians. Today's subject in social studies is the Roaring Twenties, known as the 1920s or Jazz Age. But it isn't going to be a normal documentary, since I'm going to try to keep this video stimulating as much as possible. Some of our presidents have helped our economy grow and make the stock market go up, but one of them made it all crash down, according to some people. The United States presidents during the Roaring Twenties was Warren G. Harding, Kevin Coolidge, and Herbert Hoover. Harding was better known as the president that saw a lot of scandals during his time in office, but for his economic policies, not so much. The famous scandal during his time was the Teapot Dome. His interior secretary had accepted bribes from people who were in the oil industry in exchange for giving away the drilling rights to valuable federal oil reserves. Sadly, Harding had died while being in office, still from a heart attack, and his vice president Calvin Coolidge had become the next president. His famous quote was, "The chef business of the American people is business. They profoundly concerned with producing, buying, selling, inventing, and prospering in the world." Or in a simple way, the business of America is business. His words fitted in during the mid-20s. Now, because Coolidge has famous quotes, doesn't mean he was a talkative person. His nickname was Silent Cal. He was more of a hands-off president, and he had believed that the government should interfere with the economy as little as possible. And because of his belief, the economy had the longest sustained economic boom in history. The President Hoover was a smart person who knew engineering and was really great at a problem solver. He was a big deal during the Progressive era. He was a commence secondary with Coolidge and Harding, but when the stock market crashed, the Americans had blamed him for the Great Depression. And he was the president who did very little during his time in office, and he went on to be the most unsuccessful president. During the Roaring Twenties, the economy had been doing very good until the end of 1929. But to get this very good economy, it had to depend on mass consumerism. The Americans were the consumers and had bought automobiles, radios, and food products. Automobiles back in the day were more affordable than the cars now. But this time is when people also started investing in stocks. Companies would sell their stocks for people for $100. Then a year later, people will exchange their stocks and might get their money back depending on how much the company made from selling their products. This kept going and helping out the economy. The stock market was good, everything was good. But all good things go down unexpectedly. The stock market crashed and the economy did very badly. The people blamed President Hoover for the crash. This was the beginning of the Great Depression. Beer and alcohol was allowed to have before, but due to prohibition becoming stricter, alcohol became banned. Lots of Americans started stockpiling on wine and beer before this. A group of activists thought this was a good for the United States. They believed this would make families safe from drunk parents. But crime rates have grown more than it did. Bootleggers had started smuggling beer to the country. Speakeasies started to open up for people to drink. Speakeasies were hidden, private bars that people made. They could be hiding in basements, and to get in, you needed a password. A gang member named Al Capone would have a speakeasy and sell beer to people. To the great economy, people have spent money on entertainment. Televisions were a thing in the late 1920s, but then people went to theaters to watch a moving picture film. Movie palaces had been built to seat thousands of people. These movie palaces kept springing up in major cities. The silent movies had gave popularity to the new movie stars. Charlie Chaplin, known as the Tramp, was the top box office attraction of time. After World War I, radios had become popular and had been in people's homes. What people listened to on the radio was news, serial stories, and political speeches. Radios had also helped popularize sports figures and their accomplishments. Also being founded. A well-known jazz founder was Charles Bolton. He was a cornet player and a band leader in New Orleans. He was known for his emotive sound and ability to blend different music styles, including African and European influences. Soon, from his creation of a new form of music style, jazz had become a new music genre. The Harlem Renaissance was the name given to the cultural, social, and artistic explosion that took place in Harlem between the end of World War I and the middle of the Great Depression, 1930s. Harlem was a cultural center with writers, artists, musicians, photographers, poets, and scholars. Many had come from the South because of the oppressive cattle system. They went up north to find a place where they could be free and express themselves freely. The Renaissance was also a liberty movement. It had racial pride. They demanded civil rights and political rights. The Renaissance liked jazz and encouraged jazz. It attracted the whites to Harlem speakeasies where interracial couples had danced. Science and religion during this time had been complicated and controversial. Traditionalists worried that everything valuable was ending. This relationship between science and religion significantly changed, and part of it was due to Darwin's evolution theory. From this, William Jennings Bryan disapproved Darwin's theory. Bryan believed in religion and made a speech called Cross of Gold. This speech had succeeded, and the legislature had introduced in 15 states to ban the teaching of evolution. Tennessee enacted a bill making it unlawful to teach any theory that denies the story of divine creation as taught by the Bible, and to teach instead that was descended from a lower order of animals. That was a quote, by the way. But a biology teacher, John Scopes, taught it and got arrested. Tennessee's anti-evolution was not happy for obvious reasons. A carnival-like atmosphere took over Dayton, Tennessee. As the trial approached, banners were in the streets, lemonade stands were up. Close to 1,000 people were jammed in the courtrooms for the trial. Judge John T. Ralston, the judge in Scopes' trial, had suggested moving the trial under the tent that could seat 20,000 people. Attendees were announcers ready to send listeners to the first radio broadcast from a trial. A judge, which is Ralston, was a conservative Christian who wanted publicity. He was yanked by two police officers. In a quick summary of the trial, it was the debate of science and religion. But the end, Scopes was found guilty and got charged $100, which is 1,598 and 99 cents today.